Hello, YouTubers. This is Joe and Paul here of Joe and Paul on August 5th, Monday, at around 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. Now, Paul's been very worried about his hair, because
it was sticking up.
Well, because of the left and right conundrum in terms of these videoing situations. Sometimes you just shove everything the opposite way, and you end up looking like you've just woken up on the street in Chicago behind a dumpster or something. Which fortunately I never did. I mean,
it's backward, guys.
I spent a lot of time when I'm at meetings in Chicago prowling the streets, and but not particularly behind. Well, I looked in dumpsters if it was next to a restaurant to see if there's any good food there, but. You'd go up there around 10:30 or 11, and you could often find some good food there. But that's why I never had to buy any food when I went to Chicago. But except I would buy Subway sandwiches because I like Subway sandwiches. But I only took one or two of those for the entire week, so you space those boys out. Carry a few cans of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. The salt alone will keep your weight up. You end up sort of being like this. It's like having your own bags of saline. So there it is.
Need to water it down and flush it out.
Well, yes. I mean, and then of course, if you're not on adequate high blood pressure medicine, it's like you sort of, you got to sleep sitting up and all that. Well, we've been through that. But that's now past, thank the good Lord. So now I'm going to sort of run briefly through my day, and then Paul will tell you his little hotel day, which was an unexpected hotel day because he was scheduled off, but they called at 7:30, and he had to come in and once again save the day. So, but first, I'll just run through this thing. Now, I'd heard about this fella yesterday possibly having a stroke, this guy at church having a stroke. And, of course, I've been talking about who's going to be number 3. I mean, my friend Brad died. A friend of ours, Nick, died. That's 2. And then, deaths come in 3s. That's the old mythology. At least that's the mythology here in the Midwest. And who's going to be number 3? It's like if you look back in my videos, you'll see there's one where at Bible study, we talked about that. Who's number 3? And we all looked at each other, and since I was the youngest one, I was told I didn't have anything to worry about. But you never know. So.
I really don't see how we live in the Midwest.
Well, it's called. Well, Ohio is traditionally called the Midwest. Now,
because Mississippi was the borderline.
Well, Ohio is traditionally called the Midwest, and I know the news media and the sports people are trying to make it so it's not that. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the Midwest. When I grew up, it was called the Midwest. So it's
same here.
So it's the Midwest. Well, anyway, so this fella, I got news on him. He indeed did have a stroke, and a fairly substantial one. So hopefully he doesn't die. But when you've got big time cardiovascular disease, my dad died 2 weeks after his similar stroke. So who knows? It's not like I'm encouraging him to die, so I won't be number 3. I mean, I don't wish the guy ill.
Well, I hope to piss you're not 3.
Well, I hope not either. Now this fellow and I,
nor this one.
Well, yes, indeed. And so this fellow who's had the stroke, he and I used to count money at church, and excuse me. So. In 2007, shortly after our new rector came, he's the new rector. He shifts things around. He put the office over in the new building, and people who count money have to do it off in this side room. Sort of out of this what amounts to a supply box, and it's all hurly-burly and noise, and you can't settle down and concentrate. I mean, you're counting money here, guys. And
They wanted to rush.
yeah, well, that's the second issue. I mean, the rush job was because this guy's also involved was involved in a musical troupe in Columbus, and he always had to get down to rehearsal. I gotta go. Well, that's not the way to appeal to my heart, folks. When you say I gotta go. No, let's settle down and do.
Kind of like when a supervisor or
it's,
get off my clock, go off my clock.
Well,
hurry up.
It's the same thing. It's other people's money, and I guess in your case, it's also other people's money, their money, isn't it? So
yeah.
So it's the same sort of thing. So I had done the money for 13 years, and then I told the director, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. Not really in a schnit. I wasn't in a schnit about it. I just said, I've done it 13 years. That's long enough. In a church, the appearance about money is almost more important than the actual facts about money. And so here's a guy, me, who's done it for 13 years. It's time to just not do it anymore. I mean, even the Federal Reserve Bank governors only do it for 14 years. I mean, they serve 14-year-old terms, and then they can't get renewed. So I hope they don't browbeat me and try to manipulate me into doing this after. Well, maybe this guy will come back. He'll be fine.
Well,
but he ain't going to be fine for a while.
No. But they also didn't want everything just going into like one account. It had to go into several different.
Well, they've changed
things.
that. No, they've changed that, and that's somewhat for the better. Money is, after all, fungible. But well, okay, we'll see how that develops. Now, so then I went back and when the phone call had come about this guy, I had been watching rugby on my live stream, Ustream stuff, and so I went back and watched some more rugby, and I had looked at the rules of rugby the other day, and so it seems to me that a lot of times, various localities sort of make this up as they go along. I'm going to have to look more into this,
especially the refs. The one I've seen the last couple days, when he has said, someone has made a touchdown, he goes, there has been a try.
That's whole try.
He says, there's been a try. I'm like, there wasn't a try. The dude did it. He made the score.
Oh, it's the terminology. Oh, I see.
But the ref calls it a try.
Well, that's what it's called. It's called. I mean, okay, so then just moments before we turned this thing on to make this video, a fellow, the doorbell rang. Well, it's like, at this time of day, many, I didn't invoke the Prince of Peace or the Holy Ghost or God the Father on this one, but I did have a few words that were of Anglo-Saxon nature when that happened, and it's this guy. It's this developer. Well, of course it's a developer, isn't it? And unlike a lot of these developers, this guy's not really a sleazeball. He's sort of like a normal guy, and he lives just up the road, and he's not out here in this slick shark skin like suit with the patent leather shoes, and
walking around playing with
the $30,000 watch, and,
walking around with his Great Dane, wearing
who took
thousands, millions.
Who took the who took the largest dump I've ever seen any mammal take in my entire life on my yard, which I don't mind. I mean, it helped fertilize the yard. I mean, I don't care about that. I mean, it's like get your plastic bag out, act like you're on the beach in California. I mean, it wasn't like that. But so this guy actually, well, of course he shot me the usual amount of hot air, but that's okay. They do that. They have to do that, don't they? They're developers. And the hot air today involved he wanted some more of my down tree limb firewood things around my place, and I said, fine, take it. I don't care. I'm not going to use it. And that's fair enough.
Oh, he also told us that the deer are lying in the pine trees and just watching him and not bothering to get up and go away.
Well, they weren't in the pine trees. They were out sort of in the yard up on that path there, that I showed you guys the other day on the video. And I'm sure they did probably stay put, But in any case, so we talked some more about this corner property in terms of the county taking it and maybe him wanting to buy it before the county takes it or some deal. Who knows? And I didn't really discuss. I didn't get into the fact that somebody had come in and taken out all the plumbing in the place. So
not to mention the appliances. Wood burning fire.
Well, no. If the guy's buying it, he's not buying it for that. He's, So anyway, I'll have one more little bit here, and then I'll shut up. Well, maybe.
We'll give it a shot.
Yes, we'll give it a shot. Paul knows me all too well, doesn't he? And so I just as Paul came in, I was finishing up with my ex-wife on the FaceTime, and she was describing various computer conundrums she had encountered, and she's getting a lot better at this. She really is, as I've said. And of course, when she got confused, there were a couple of times when she got confused that she seemed to think, much like if you're talking to a deaf person or a foreigner, that really, really yelling loud at me would somehow help me to understand her or help her to understand the problem more clearly. And I finally had to point out to her, and I tried to do it gently. And I think I succeeded. That hollering at me when you don't understand doesn't really hasten the process of clarification. So, well, with that, that's my day. Now, Paul apparently, after he got, summoned in to save the day, apparently there were some car break-ins at the hotel. Here with Paul.
I was told at the front desk when I checked in that was the main purpose I was brought in, to help clean up the messes and clean out the guest cars. But the guests didn't...
Sounds like the guest cars have already been cleaned out.
No. Well, the valuables were. But the glass from where they beat the windows out of them, they were not. But the guests did not want me to touch the cars.
Well, no.
Until the police had seen the cars.
Very well.
And the police had looked at the cars. And then I was not to clean out the inside of the cars like we usually do.
Oh, really?
Only just what's on the pavement.
Do you actually clean out the inside of the cars when that happens?
Oh, yeah. We take a shop vac and we vac them all out and everything.
Oh, I'll be darned.
So, well, like if they bust out a front window, they don't sit on stuff and cut their butt.
Oh, well, I can understand that. I mean, I can understand if they ask you to do it, but I didn't know that was like a policy or something.
No, but we most generally do. We'll shop vac out the car and get the glass out. So when they take it to a repair shop, they don't have to worry about getting a sliver in their bone.
Well, of course, that's that. You don't really get slivers with that automotive glass, although you can obviously if you like squeeze it in your hands. I remember when glass in the car was really glass in the car. And you could.
Yeah, but now it's like the glass, plastic,
Now it's like
and then glass again.
It's granular.
And it sort of sticks together.
Yeah,
and
it's granular.
Explodes in chunks.
Is granular sort of a hip hop term? It's granular, man. Granular boys. I mean, or whatever finger thing. I mean, granular.
I was not even allowed to clean the glass up in the lot.
Well, no, evidence. It's evidence. Evidence, the detritus of crime.
No, the guests made me wait until they had moved their cars from the parking space where the windows had been busted out. Then I was allowed to clean the glass up. It's kind of like, hey, come on, guys. I'm kind of in a rush day here. So I just went out and I started taking a broom and took a dustpan thing out with me. I took a broom and I was reaching in under their cars and that, sweeping the glass out. So they're walking around talking on the phones with their insurance company and stuff about what had happened. So they all started moving their cars so I could get the glass up. But the one guy had the glass totally up and everything before he moved his car. He even got in the car and he blew the horn, waved
well,
at me, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to
was moving.
Just do what you have to do. I mean,
So,
yeah.
Needless to say, I ran my bones off all day.
Big blood-filled mosquito here, still trying to escape. I'll try to get him. I'll try to get him here before the end of the night.
That's why I shut the door when I came home, because I went out for a smoke and they were all over me.
Well, of course they're all over you. I mean, yeah. You've got all those cleaning products all over you. Now of course once you start smoking, then they tend to scamper off. But the wrens have been very, very full throated today. So I hope they've been eating as many of them as possible.
As much as they've been singing charming on.
Well, God bless our wrens. I'll tell you, those are wonderful souls. So I think are we pretty much done?
Oh, yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Well, then we're going to say,
Oh, Earl. I was explaining to Earl. I was explaining to another guy that was supposed They got me before they got him. So I showed up.
This almost sounds like a mob hit.
2 minutes for him. So I'm explaining to him as we're going into the end, what's going down. We walk in. He said, GM is at the front desk. She goes,
that's general manager.
She goes, you are 5 minutes late. He says, I'm sorry, ma'am. It's only 5 minutes this time. She pointed at me. She said, you're not late because you're coming in on your day off to deal with stuff for me. She said, so
saving the day. He saves the day.
So you're safe. I don't have to tell you you're late. She said, because you're really not late. You're not even supposed to be here. Because you're going to be overtime again.
Overtime's great, and so it's like he's evanescent and overtime.
I'm up to 7.5 hours. Oh, no, wait.
That'll have the book. That'll have the. Well, I shouldn't say the name of the upstate New York City Corporation and the tizzy.
It's going to be 8 hours because I didn't leave till 4 o'clock.
Well, good. Well, I mean, come on. They need to just give you, they need to basically just raise you to $12 an hour, at least.
Oh, they need to not be squinters and Paid overtime.
Well, yes, I understand that, but but come on. I mean, it's like I mean, it's not like you're the standard employee. I mean, you're the hardworking guy. You're not the I show up and just sort of put in my time sort of person. So, I mean, you have a work ethic. My word, this man's got a work ethic.
Hey, I got the whole first floor and all the landings done. And
He does.
oh, they wanted the baseboards forced in the library, and I did in the lobby, and I did that. And I kept.
It's amazing what he notices. It's amazing what he notices. I mean, he goes around and picks up stuff. It's just like old tiny stuff. It's amazing.
Little splinters of wood.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, he notices everything. He just notices everything.
Hey, it saves me from constantly running around with the dustpan.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's well, see that he knows that saves you time by doing that. See, he's got a strategy.
And most of the time, it winds up in my back pocket.
See, what it means is he's actually thought about. You see, a pro thinks about how they actually do their job. A pro thinks about how they actually do their job. Well, I always sort of knew this, but not. I hadn't really thought about it articulately until I read. I was down at this friend of mine's, Brad's house, and I happened to read Jack Nicklaus's book about how he approached golf, and it was a graphic novel sort of format, meaning a cartoon, but it wasn't. It was very. What became clear in reading this, excuse me, was that this guy thinks about everything: the wind, the trees, the way the grass grows, the lie of the grass, how the wind affects the grass,
the slope of the ground.
Oh well, yes, the obvious topographical things, of course, he thinks about. But then whether he wants to, turn his club one way to make the ball sort of curve this way, or turn the club the other way to make the ball curve another way, and it occurred to me that this man, in the 10 seconds or 15 seconds before he stands up there and hits that ball, has thought about what a computer would take. Well, a computer at the time he wrote the book would take fully 2 or 3 minutes or more to process. And if you were to actually write it out in great detail, would have taken you upwards of 2 or 3 or 4 hours, And I was reminded of the time that when I had to write an account of the start of a case in which I was involved in a malpractice suit, and I was writing an account of how the case started. And I basically wrote an account of the first 15 minutes of decision making of the case, and it took me hours to write this. Well, and hours to write it, and also to recount it in my head, step by step by step by step by step. Even without writing it, it took me 20 minutes to recount it. And I realized then, particularly when I read Jack Nicklaus's little, golf, here's how I play golf book, so that a pro thinks about everything in total, and almost instantaneously. And that's how a pro thinks about things. That's how all the decisions are made. It seems like you just walk up and do it, but in reality, you've thought about every single possibility down the decision tree. I apologize for using the term decision tree. That can happen, and then and so the very, very few times that things don't go as expected,
you go back and think it out.
Well, no. Then you know immediately what to do. So your pulse rate doesn't increase, and you don't get upset, and you don't freeze. You just carry on. And here's Paul. He knows what to expect in terms of how to do his job. See, he's thought about his job. He does his job. A pro does what he has to do what he has to do. That sounds like a tautology, but it really isn't when you think about it. So on that note, I'm going to say...
Try putting 80 cases of supplies away by yourself in all those storage rooms. That's a real bummer too, especially when they steal your luggage cart that you're using to do it with.
And see, I imagine he had a workaround for that too, didn't he? Did you?
Yeah, I used my cleaning cart.
Well, see, there you are.
I misstacked it and hit a bump and it all fell over and off.
Well, still, you dealt with it.
So the GM and I restacked it.
Well, see, the principle holds. The principle holds. So, on that note, I'm going to say bye-bye, YouTubers.